Okay, y'all, so today we're starting lesson 12-3. Our learning targets, we're going to write the equation of a line in standard form, and we're going to use the standard form of a linear equation to solve problems. So you haven't seen standard form yet. A linear equation can be written in the form ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are constants, and a and b are not both 0, because if a and b were both 0, that would end up being 0 equals another constant. And that's not in this case. That's not possible. So standard form of a linear equation, ax plus by equals c, where a is greater than or equal to 0, a and b are not both 0, and a, b, and c are integers whose greatest common factor is 1. So that basically just means simplified. You can use the coefficients of this form of an equation to find the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the slope. Determine the x-intercept. Well, if I wanted to determine the x-intercept, remember, x-intercept, for x-intercept, that means that your y is 0. It's your x value in 0. For y-intercept, your x is 0 with your y value. Okay, so if I substituted in 0 for y, in ax plus by equals c, I substituted in 0 for y, that would just leave me with ax equals c, because this would become 0. And then if I wanted to solve for x to figure out what x was, I would divide both sides by a. This becomes a literal equation. So x equals c over a. X equals c over a. So that's where that c over a comma 0 is. Your x is c over a and your y is 0. You follow those same steps, and that's how you get 0 equals c over b. You would substitute in 0 for x, and you're left with by equals c. Divide both sides by b, so y equals c over b. Now, write ax plus by equals c in slope-intercept form to find the slope. Now, you would follow the steps. Again, this becomes a literal, and we haven't done literals in a while, so this may be confusing for you at first, but you would follow all the steps of solving a literal equation, and you would get y equals negative ab over x plus c over b. And the slope would be that negative a over b, the constant coefficient in front of the x value. Okay. So to solve for y, you would subtract ax from both sides and then divide by b. And when you subtract ax from both sides and divide by b, that's where you get this equation from. I'm not going to go over that because we've been solving equations all year, and you should be able to do that by now on your own. The definition of standard form states that both a and b are not 0. However, one of a or b may be equal to 0. So write standard form if a is 0. Well, if a is 0, then we're just going to be left with by equals c. And if a is 0, b is negative 1, and c is 3, write the equation of line in standard form. Well, to write that line in standard form, I would just have 0x minus y equals 3. 0x minus y equals 3. Or if you wanted to simplify that, it just leaves you with negative y equals 3. Graph the line on the grid in the My Notes section and describe the graph. So go to Desmos, type in this equation in Desmos, and then graph it. And when you graph that line, you will get that there is a horizontal line at 0. There's a horizontal line at 0. Not a horizontal line at 0. I'm sorry, a horizontal line at negative 3. Bless it. I was looking at the slope. The slope of this line is 0. So this is part 2, or number 2 at least. This is number 2. Number 2. Write the standard form if b is 0. Well, if b is 0, then I'm left with ax equals c. And if I wanted to write that in standard form, I'm left with x plus 0y equals negative 6 or x equals negative 6. Well, that is a vertical line at x is negative 6. This is number 3. Graph the equation on the grid in the My Notes section and describe the graph. Well, that graph is a vertical line, and the graph of a vertical line is undefined. Write 3x plus 2y equals 8 in slope-intercept form. Okay, you're going to have to follow some solving equations rules in order to get the answer for this one. So I'm going to write these steps for you. I shouldn't have to. You should be able to do this on your own without any issues. But I'm going to, for those of you that are still struggling with this, if you get this, you can just go ahead and skip this part of the video and move along. Okay, so if I want to write this in slope-intercept form, I'm going to have to subtract 3x from both sides, because slope-intercept form is in the form of y equals mx plus b. So I'm left with 2y equals negative 3x plus 8. Now I need to divide every single term by 2. And when I do that, I get y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 4, which is my answer. Write the equation y minus 7 equals 2 times x plus 1 in standard form. This is a point slope form. This is so this is from standard to slope intercept. This is from point slope to standard. Okay, so write that equation in standard form. Well, I know that standard form has my x and y on one side set equal to a constant. So if I wanted to write y minus 7 equals 2 times x plus 1, I first need to distribute the 2. When I distribute the 2, I get y minus 7 equals 2x plus 2. Okay, so now I have my y on the left side and my x on the right side. So what I want to do is I want to subtract 2 from both sides so I can get x by itself. And that gives me y minus 9 equals 2x. Now I want to subtract y from both sides so I can have my x and y on the same side. That leaves me with negative 9c equals 2x ax minus y minus by. And this is the standard form. I want you to do 6, 7, and 8 on your own. Pause the video and take some time to do that. Sushila is making a large batch of granola to sell at school fundraiser. She needs to buy walnuts and almonds to make the granola. Walnuts cost $3 and almonds cost $2, and she has $30 to spend on the ingredients. Write an equation that represents the amount of walnuts, x, so x is walnuts, and almonds, y, so y is almonds, that Sushila must pay. So we have 3x because what does x represent? X represents walnuts. And how much per pound do walnuts cost? Walnuts cost $3 a pound. So 3x, 3 times x, $3 times x number of walnuts, plus 2y. How much do almonds cost? $2 a pound for almonds, times y, because y represents almonds, equals $30 because she only has $30 to spend. Okay, so $3 per pound of walnuts times X number of walnuts plus $2 times Y number of almonds equals $30. And graph the X and Y intercepts on the coordinate plane and use to help graph the line. You can type this equation in Desmos, and then graph it. You should get an Y-intercept of 15 and X-intercept of 10, and then graph the line. Now let's use that graph to answer this question. If Sushila buys 4 pounds of walnuts, how many pounds of almonds can she buy? So here's 4 pounds of walnuts. How many pounds of almonds can she buy? So if she buys 4 pounds, she can buy approximately, what's the number between 8 and 10? 9. She can buy 9 pounds of almonds. Refer to the graph that you made in item 9B. What is the x-intercept and what does it represent? So looking back at 9B, what is the x-intercept and what does it represent? Here's our x-intercept. Our x-intercept is at 15. Nope, I'm at y-intercept. Our x-intercept is at 10. Our y-intercept is 15. Our x is 10. So our x-intercept is 10. Our x-intercept is 10. And what does that represent? Well, that means that if I buy 10 pounds of walnuts, I would get how many pounds of almonds? 0 pounds of almonds, because 10 pounds of walnuts would be 10 times 3, which is 30. 10, 0. If Sushila buys no almonds and spends all her money on walnuts, she can buy 10 pounds of walnuts. Write an equation in standard form for the line below. Okay, so what I would do for this problem is I would write the line in slope-intercept form. And then do your algebra to convert it to standard form. So for slope-intercept form, I need the slope. And the slope is going to be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the slope is negative 5 over positive 1, 2, 3, 4. So your slope is negative 5 over 4. Then your y-intercept is 6. Sorry, y'all, my internet is going a little crazy. So your equation is y equals m x plus b. Okay, if I want to write this in standard form, I would add 5/4 x to both sides. And that gives me y plus 5/4 x equals 6. Now, in order to get rid of this fraction, because I can't have a fraction in standard form, I'm going to multiply each term by 4. And that would give me 4y plus 5x equals 24. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. And the reason why I'm multiplying both sides by 4 is because that's the denominator of my fraction with my x coefficient. The equation 2x minus 5y equals 20. The table below and the graph below represent 3 different linear functions. Which function represents the line with the greatest slope? And explain your reasoning. The table, because the slope of the line described in the table is 3. The slope of this table is 3. While the slope of this graph is 2. So the slope of the table is greater than the slope of the graph. Okay, 13 and 14 is check your understanding, and 15 and 16, 17, and 18 and 19 are all for your self-study independent work. Make sure you do not forget to submit your homework in Edulastic, and you have a quiz after you finish 12-3. Your quiz is going to be on Friday.